Hello and welcome to episode 35 of Rival Banter. I'm one of your hosts, Luke Croft, and joining me, as always, my esteemed co-host. He's the soul sister and the Mr. on the radio, ladies and gentlemen, Seth Martin.
Is that who I've been?
It both alternating those roles seamlessly.
My gosh.
The duality of man.
That's weird, wild stuff.
How are you doing, my friend?
Pretty good. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm hoping the internet situation is sorted. I did a bunch of shit to my PC, hoping that it will help it out. Me disappearing for 3 minutes with no explanation in the call earlier doesn't give me a lot of hope, but we will see. So sorry about missing last week, guys. We recorded like 15, 20 minutes of the show, and then we just could not stay connected on the call and had to stop. And I hated it because there's so much to cover last week. But we're going to get into all of that this week. So plenty to talk about as we jump into season 5 and all that sort of stuff. So sorry for the absence. We're not going to try to make a habit out of that. Seth, you getting excited? Next week is Thanksgiving, which is crazy.
Yeah, it really hasn't hit me yet. This year, the years continue to fly by much more quickly than they have, and I'm not really caring for that too much.
Yeah, you got big plans?
I have no idea. I've not had those discussions yet. I tend to just kind of be there, and I follow the plan.
Nice. Yeah, we're coming up for like just a night to hang with my family. We're gonna go down to her family's for the day and eat and stuff. So should be pretty chill. I like Thanksgiving because it's pretty low key, not a lot of stress. Christmas, not so much.
I don't know. I feel like all the family holidays contain a plethora of stresses, but that's just me. Maybe it's the children in the mix, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I sure don't. But anyway, this is Rival Banter. We get together every Tuesday and talk about all things Marvel Rivals. Then we push it out to you guys on podcast services and YouTube. Just search up Rival Banter. If you want to follow us on social media, check us out over on Instagram and TikTok. Just search. It's just at Rival Banter. So very easy to think about or to remember. Dude, I don't know what's up with me tonight. I'm like tongue tied. Can't get my proverbial feet under me, but we will make this thing work because we're going to jump into some viewer comments from a couple weeks ago. We only have 2 because we have so much like content to talk about this week with season 5 and a lot of the changes that are here. What's up? You look perplexed.
Oh, you're just stuttering a lot, like the camera.
Oh, really? The connection?
or like the audio and the camera a little bit. I don't know if it's a connection or not. I can't really. I don't know.
I can see you just fine, and I'm moving.
Okay.
Maybe it's me just stuttering in real life. It comes across as a connection error.
Maybe 6-7.
All right, well, let's jump into these 2 comments. The first one comes from Tyler, who says, when do you think they will add Deadpool? My guess is when the player count is low. Seth, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I said last week when we talked about this very comment. I feel like it probably hasn't changed that much. I don't know if it's necessarily that they're going to need to wait until the player count is low to bring people back in, but I do think that this could be maybe not necessarily like a player count being low, but maybe like a player engagement being low. This could be like a maneuver to kind of mitigate that. Maybe say like right now, season 5, I feel like, is a golden age right now. We've got a whole bunch of new crowd that we're going to talk about today. A lot of stuff that's excited a lot of people. And this, I feel like there's definitely seasons, as we've seen so far, where there's not a lot of stuff being dropped, or there aren't a lot of huge changes going on. So I feel like Deadpool could be something that you kind of whip out when it's kind of like a little slow in the game. There hasn't been like a lot of stuff going on. I feel like that could be kind of a way to maintain engagement, but I don't know. What do you think, Luke?
I work in gaming, and I will say that there are some things that are easier than others. to do, as there is in all things. But I just think there's way too much work that goes into the design of a character for it to be held as some sort of like card in your back pocket, especially like Deadpool. I don't think the release of Deadpool is going to be reactionary by any stretch. I think it's likely been planned from the start. I think, uh, potentially like New Year, Deadpool drops with like season 6 or something like that. I know there's some speculation about who the characters might be next season, but yeah, if you want to re-engage the players, you do that with things like the Galacta's gift event or something like that, right? Something that it doesn't take a whole lot of time to spin up. We're reacting. We want to keep players engaged. We're going to do something like this. I imagine it takes probably 2 years at the least to design a character, get all the approvals from Disney and that sort of thing before a character comes out. So I don't think they're just sitting on it. But I do think it is going to be here probably in the next 2 seasons, season 6, 7.
Yeah, I get that. I can see it being like somewhere around the anniversary as well. I don't imagine that it will be like on the anniversary because that's coming up what imminently within the
Yeah,
next
within
couple of
like
weeks,
yeah,
something like that.
within the month.
Yeah, so I don't know about that, but who knows? Could be cool.
Yeah, and there's already so much in-game reference to Deadpool as well, if I'm remembering correctly. So, uh,
Mhm.
they've mentioned Deadpool enough to know that he's gonna he's gonna be in there. Is he gonna have a Jeff charm? That's the question.
He's got to, got to.
Is there some like connection with Jeff and Deadpool, or is it just they're both like silly guys?
I think Jeff originally came from a Deadpool comic, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't read that.
Oh.
Um, but where did Jeff the Shark come from?
Mm. Real time research. Do, do, do,
Uh,
do, do, do.
it actually came in West Coast Avengers back in 2018, but I feel like there is some kind of connection with Deadpool. I feel like I've read that somewhere, but I could be
Well,
way off.
let us know in the comments if you guys know the lore behind the connection of Jeff and Deadpool. So, um,
He did return in Deadpool later on in 2019, so maybe that's where he like picked up speed or something like
gotcha.
that.
He seems very Deadpool coded in a lot of ways.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
so I can certainly see that. All right, and then John was replying to a comment of us talking about how uh what do we think of these shorter seasons and stuff? And John said that's kind of the point. People were getting bored of each half season after 3 to 4 weeks, so they made them a month. Um, Seth, I know we've talked a little bit about our opinions on the kind of new pace of releases and stuff like that. Now that we've gone through maybe 4 or 5 of these like month long half seasons, how are you feeling about the pace of the content that we're getting and how often new seasons are starting? I know we hate the rank resets, but outside of that, from a content
I mean,
perspective.
I love the frequency with which we're getting new stuff. It's just like an onslaught, and in a lot of great ways. I think the exception to that is the rank reset, but I think that's more so just like an adult issue, like a matter of adulting rather than just kind of an inherent issue. I think you want everything. You don't want things to get stale, right? And like John says, I get that people do get bored when these things drag on for too long or when there's not enough going on. Like it's a big topic in games right now that Halo Infinite is basically dead because it was supposed to be like this 10-year game, and then it didn't take off because there wasn't a breadth of content in the first year or so of the game's launch, and so now it's not dead. They're still going to support it for a while, but like for all intents and purposes, nothing new is really going to be coming to the game, really. So
Hmm.
this is like the antithesis of that. I think they're constantly updating and giving us just like a breadth of stuff to get or choose from or whatever. Um, so yeah, I mean, I get the idea that they want to keep that going. If I were in college, like kind of like Destiny, I think I used to say the same thing about Destiny. If I had been an undergrad when this game came out, I don't know that I would have gotten anything done. I might have been one of those people that college in the first year or so because I would just be playing that ranked grind all the time. I don't have the time luxury of that right now, but in a different life, maybe.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I've been trying to kind of put my finger on what it is about the kind of content pace that doesn't jive so much with me. And I think it's just like one of the things that I think Fortnite does a really great job of is kind of ebbing and flowing in its content stages. Now, look, they're constantly doing shop updates and those kinds of things. But one of the things I liked about the transition from the previous season into this new Simpsons season in Fortnite was the kind of uh, mystery inside of the game, building up hype to the new content. It feels like things that keep you engaged with what's going on in the like metaverse of the game itself, without feeling like every day there's something new I have to like run to my console to check out. Like for a week or two prior to the Simpsons season starting in Fortnite, you had the like aliens in the spaceship flying next to the battle bus, and it was like this little in-game tease. It was kind of the exhale before the inhale of all the new air that's about to come. And I kind of like that, and I don't feel like there's a whole lot of that in Marvel Rivals. Like there's not a lot of like anticipation building
Yes.
yet. I think we're
Yes.
going to talk
Yeah.
about some stuff here in a little bit, but I, I I just feel like there's not as much anticipation building within the community, and so you're kind of just like reacting to what's new all the time, and not as much like speculation about what's to come and getting excited about what's to come because there's just always something new to react to. That's not to say it's good or bad or somewhere in between. I think that's just where it kind of feels a little off to me. I enjoy all the content. I love that there's always something new to explore or check out. But why does it feel so different to other games? I think it's because other games I think just do that sort of like dance a little better.
Hmm.
And then you have games that do it fucking awful, like Halo Infinite. I remember that first whatever season or season pass, like the content in that pass was god awful.
It
Because
was like nothing,
they
right?
had like the cat ear Master Chief helmet, and it was just like so tone deaf to who like the Halo audience was and stuff like that. I remember how bad season 1 was of that. I did not stick around for Infinite very long. When's the last time you played?
I've like tried to get back into it. It's not the same when you don't have like a squad that you're playing ranked with or something like that, or just kind of doing big team battle stuff. I love the idea of Halo. Um, I'm always optimistic for its future, but I've tried unsuccessfully several times through the years to kind of get back into that particular game, and I think it had a lot of great stuff, or like a lot of great elements to it. It just didn't really have the the je ne sais quoi or whatever. I don't know what that means in French, but I feel like I used it well. It just didn't have that it factor that
Yeah.
I think that we expect in like today's age of games as service or whatever.
Yeah, Halo, I know this isn't a Halo podcast, but Halo just kind of exists in this weird place where I think it's just burdened so much by the nostalgia people bring to it. And it's never going to live up to the memories of a bill-free life with all my homeboys playing Halo 2 on the Xbox 360, like uh
Mhm.
the context around me is never going to match what made Halo special. So it's going to be hard for Halo to kind of recapture that moment, but I'm with
Playing
you.
LAN parties with your friends in your
Yeah.
boxer briefs,
Yep.
just mainlining not Code Red, well, Game
Live
Fuel,
wire
Mountain
game
Dew,
fuel.
Game
Yeah.
Fuel. Yeah, hell yeah, baby.
Dude. I actually really enjoyed game fuel.
I still do. Like whenever it still comes
Is it
around,
still out?
from time to time, yeah, they still do stuff with it. I don't know the last time they have, but I have. I mean, I know I've had one in the last like 5 years. So I don't know,
Yeah.
6, 7.
Yeah. I'm a Coke Zero man through and through. So uh I don't stray too
Yeah,
far. If they
they
made
bring
Coke,
Game Fuel Zero. I'll yeah.
yeah,
It's over.
yeah. If they had Code Red Zero, I mean they do. It's just like impossible to find. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, I might consider the occasional Code Red Zero if that was the case. All right. Well, let's get into it and talk about. Let's just not do our weekend rivals, Seth, because we're going to be talking about so much of this new content that we're just going to get to it. So let's jump into the news and talk about the new skins coming to the game this week. We have the Magic Millenia Might costume coming, and the what was the other one called? Doctor Strange Bleeker Street Strut or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to show this Magic trailer on screen right now. So, not a character either of us really play all that much. We'll pull out some Strange from time to time. But what do you think about these skins?
They're cool. Yeah, you gotta love a good pimp skin. For Strange here, I see what they're going for. It's not necessarily my cup of tea. I kind of like the weird, wild, the kind of freaky, strange skins that you see, like the zombie Strange from Multiverse of Madness, or Old Man Strange. It's kind of like that good. That he's got a weird vibe anyway, so I like kind of seeing that aspect to it. This, I guess, you could say, is a weird vibe, but in a very different way.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I totally thought like Strange when I first saw this. To be
Yeah, that's
honest
the
with you.
thing. If you had just showed it to me, I don't know that I would really identify him as Strange, other than like the belt buckle and the Eye of Agamotto, right? The little green jewel right
Yeah,
there. He kind of looks more like McCree than
yeah, that's what I
Imp
was thinking.
in some
Cassidy
ways.
now.
Or sorry, Cassidy,
Yes.
the cowboy or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I do like this skin though. I don't play Strange enough, and I have enough good skins for Strange to go to. This wouldn't crack the top of that list, but I don't mind that one too much. There was a lot of like hoopla about Magic skin on like Reddit and stuff about it just like not really matching her vibe. It's more like kind of
Hmm.
punk rock, dark child, you know. But then people were showing like pictures of comics. How do you feel about that, Seth? Like, do you feel like the skins could kind of go outside the character, be a little bit more playful, or do you think they should try to stay pretty close?
It's really just a personal take for me. It's just totally my preference. But as long as they do have a range of traditional skins that match the vibe of the comics, or the character at least, that you have those iconic looks, I'm totally down for them to experiment and do whatever they want to, as long as they don't get wild with the collab skins like we see in so many other games, as we've talked about before. I mean, this is not my bag, but I could see why some people would dig it. It's got a lot of pink. It's cool. She's got a flip phone in the MVP animation, right? So cool. It's got some cool stuff there. But you know, there's something you've got to make stuff for everybody, not just every the whole group, but every individual. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like you want something that any one person can get into,
Yeah.
or at least to have those options out there.
Are you in the show notes right now?
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to drop this image in the show notes and then I'm going to put it up on. Oh, I think it's a video. Let me mute this real quick.
What the fuck is that?
All right, hold on one second. I need to actually get it on the screen. Okay,
All
so I've
right.
been so a little context here. I've been playing Smite because I've been kind of just feeling the MOBA thing, but I don't want to sit at my PC and play League, so I've been playing Smite on my PlayStation, and so Smite is all about like real, actual like mythology, right? Like, and so all of the characters are actual gods. So this is the Anubis Rudolph skin. It's called the like festive nitwit or something like that. And I this is the kind of thing I don't like, right? Like for two reasons. Number one, I'm not really big on like over the top, goofy, silly sort of stuff because I think it just kind of detracts from the vibe of the game as a whole. And as long as like Rivals isn't doing something like that where they're just kind of totally replacing the model with something else, I'm down with it. Because the second thing is like I just started playing this game. If this guy started running at me, I'd have no fucking idea that was Anubis, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. It kind of has some practical applications too. You have to think about with
yeah.
that whole deal.
And I feel like,
Yeah, this is not for me.
yeah, I feel like NetEase is so good at finding ways to express different characteristics inside of the skins for like the same character, you know, like Magic's a good example of skins that carry a lot of different vibes. I think Squirrel Girl's another one that has a lot of different vibes to her skins and stuff like that, but they all still feel at their very core like they started from the idea of Squirrel Girl. And as long as that's like the North Star of the design for costumes, I'm all about it. And they
Amen, brother.
and they seem to have a really strong vision for what that is. All right, next story on the list, a name that I've seen obviously in Overwatch. I also saw in Valorant. Makes sense that he is now here in the Marvel rival scene as well. Crimzo. I don't know if he was coaching or anything lately, but he said Rivals devs should add a 15-second cooldown to use Strange TP after selecting the hero to stop mid-round TP. Incredibly lame to win a fight in a clutch scenario just to have the entire enemy team TP back and also use spawn to heal. Adding this timer also allows TP at the start of the round. Seth, we went to Atlanta. We watched Ignite, and we saw a lot of end of round TPs on it almost every single time, really, to extend that final fight of the game. How do you feel about that as like a strategy? You know, do you think it's something that should be taken out?
I hesitate to say, like, I get the frustration with it. I think that it's so unique and singular though. Like and you have to really you have to be fairly skilled to pull it off well. I think it's something that, like, if you're not quick on the draw, you can lose a fight or lose a match just by trying to kind of set that up, right? So, um, I hate to get rid of anything like that or kind of make drastic changes to where it's like it can't be done. But I don't know. I kind of like it's so kooky and out there, and again, it's so singular and unique. I don't necessarily know that I want to see it gone, just because it is such kind of a wild strategy and such like it's such a clincher too. Like it's so fun to watch in the moment. Like, oh my god, can they do it? Can they pull it off? So I'm a little fond of it. I get how frustrating it can be, both as a player and as like an esports fan, right? So
Mhm.
it's kind of up in the air for me. I personally don't want to see it go anywhere though. What do you think?
Uh, I think I'm with Crimzo here. Like
Mm,
I'd love to see the 15-second cooldown upon character select because for a few reasons. I think number one, I just think so I think you and I have either talked about this, maybe it was me and Larry, but so um there is something in melee called L canceling. So every time you jump into the air and you hit the ground, there is like a frame window where you can hit the shield button and it will cancel your landing animation and allow you to get into like more inputs faster. And it's one of these like weird things in the melee community that like it's the thing that separates you uh from bad players. Like you're an experienced player if you know how to L cancel, but the problem is there's no point in not L canceling ever. So like every time you jump, you should L cancel. So there's no decision making in it. It's just this weird additional mechanic for something where if you can do it, you're gonna do it. And I feel like with Strange TP, a lot of times teams are holding on to what could be a really creative cooldown to use elsewhere on the map to make plays, move teams around, find different angles to take team fights on. But they're all holding it for that final fight territory because why not? You get 6 extra lives if you do it properly, right? Um, and I think it's those sorts of things. So like in future Smash Bros games, they took L canceling out, or you can turn on auto L canceling or something like that. So like there's options in future where they recognize like and that's a little different, but it's just one of those like if you're always going to do it and there's no reason not to do it, with the Strange TP, I think it just limits the creativity of what teams could be doing with teleport when they're just using it for that.
I get that.
I'm also very curious to see what pro play is going to look like right now with Strange TP and the ability to stall, because not only do you get Strange TP and can run back into your own spawn for heals, you can also sorry, what was I going to say? Oh, you're also going to have like Captain America ult giving additional ult charge to the team. You're going to have Gambit ult giving additional ult charge to the team. So not only are you going to be able to stall artificially with a teleport, but you're also going to be able to stall artificially with all of this additional ultimate charge that's just going to recharge your strategist ultimate. So I'm very curious to see what coordinated play is going to look like. I don't think in competitive queue it's going to be that big of a deal, but I do think in the hands of pro teams who know how to communicate, know how to shot call, know how to hold their cooldowns, we're going to see some long ass end of round fights whenever our next pro tournament rolls around.
Hey, I'm here for it.
Are you?
Here.
I'm not, dude.
I think so. I think so. I love those butt clinchers. Like when you're just like, what's going to happen? It's getting wild. The shoutcasters are screaming, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sucker for the game.
I like the hype moment. Don't get me wrong. I just and there's
maybe that's too hype. Maybe
it's too hype. That's my heart can't take it. Those respawns start coming in, and I just can't feel my left arm. I don't know, man. Like, I just think it does feel bad. It, like, even to watch it when you're like, oh, you're popping off for your team because they just won the team fight, and then you just hear the Strange teleporter come in, and it's like, oh fuck, well here we go again, right? And then you're at a disadvantage, right? Because you've used all your cooldowns to win the fight, and all that. On top of Adamalt just bringing everybody back after you team wipe them. Too many mechanics to frustrate you like that. All right, our final news item for the day. 100 Thieves has dropped its current roster. A little bit of a surprising one here, because it seemed like Thieves was maybe in it for the long haul with their, not for the long haul, but for a little bit longer haul with their roster. But they are going to be releasing, and this is just an update from their website. They're going to be releasing Terra, Delena, Vinny, TTK, Harvey, Millenia, Nuke, and iRemix off of their team. I didn't even know iRemix was with that squad. That's cool. But so they're stepping away, but they did say at the end of the press release that earlier this month, Marvel Rivals announced its newly revamped plan for partnership for the esports circuit in the 2026 competitive year. 100 Thieves will be working closely with NetEase players and staff to continue being a vanguard in the ecosystem. So not necessarily a full-throated like commitment that they're going to have a team next year, but that they're going to be talking with NetEase as kind of experts in the esports scene. I imagine they will have a team competing in some capacity next year as well. But I don't know, Seth. We saw, Sentinels last week. We've seen 100 Thieves. We've seen basically everybody in Pro Rivals right now is a free agent because there wasn't like multi-year contracts going around. How do you feel about kind of where things are, and what are your hopes for the future?
I don't know. I mean, it's comforting in one way to hear that there are conversations going about what the future looks like. What's less comforting is the idea that newly revamped. I feel like we've already seen rivals, like Pro Rivals, be revamped. We had the Rival Championship Series or whatever it was called originally. What was it?
Yeah,
When Fight Night was going on and all that, something like that.
Yeah.
And then we get Marvel Ignite, and then not necessarily a name change, but like how ways does it have to get revamped in the first year or so of the game being released? So that's the kind of stuff, like there's so much kind of up in the air that it makes me a little bit nervous. But I at least like the idea that this team is not saying straight up, I'm out. They're sticking around. They're going to be contributing in some way or another, and hopefully continuing to stick with it and maybe come back with a new or adjusted roster in the future.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I get what you're saying. Like, I think I think the challenge for NetEase and one of the lessons that they learn in their first year is that it's not just about attracting orgs to get involved, but it's about attracting orgs to stay committed to the process. And I'm thinking about like uh I don't know, we had Rad in the midseason finals, right? Made it all the way to grand finals, beat Envy, dropped their entire roster after the fact. And so like Rad didn't even compete in the second half of the season because of just there was no incentive for long-term commitment, because the way I understand that it worked for organizations was everyone had to compete in this, in this group bracket, and then they had to field their teams, and the only kind of return that they got from that was whatever content they were able to produce with that team, and then whatever prize pool money that they were able to secure from the tournament, right? So there was no kind of like stable source of income for the orgs to say we're going to stay in this thing, right? So I'm hoping to see is not necessarily so much a change in kind of uh, the forward facing format of everything, because I think, the kind of open format feels really, really good. I would like to maybe see them have a partnership with a handful of orgs that kind of make up the upper echelon of Marvel Rivals esports. They get some sort of like revenue sharing, that maybe some stuff inside the game that can be purchased that incentivizes them to roster a team, and then some open slots within the tournament as well for other teams to kind of qualify into it. But I think it's mostly about like, what's that infrastructure look like to get teams to stick around, because orgs are expensive things to run, as we've seen from so many of them shutting down. So I don't know. Like you were really into Overwatch League, Seth. Like, did you got like the skins and stuff, right? Like in
Oh,
game.
occasionally. I mean, I bought loot boxes back when that was a thing, the first time that it was a thing. I don't think I was really buying as many skins a la carte, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Well, and they have
But
the drop system and stuff too, where you got like the Overwatch
yeah,
League tokens and
right, right.
could exchange those. I would just love to see something like that come into Rivals, where and I imagine it's probably a little harder with like the licensed characters to do something with like brand logos and stuff. I don't know how people really would have felt about oh shit, I can't remember the org's name that was at the invitational that had the weird logo. Like, don't know how happy Marvel would be with, Bucky sporting a FlyQuest logo or something like that. But I do think it would be a cool thing to have a way to like do some stuff in game to create engagement for the esports, but also create a kickback for the organizations that are involved. All right, well, let's move on to our topic of the day, and it is season 5. Seth, we got so much shit to talk about. We didn't get a chance to talk about Gambit last week. We're going to definitely talk about that. A lot of other stuff in the Dev Vision video that we'll talk about as well. The new season pass, the new balance changes, the new ranked adjustments, all that sort of stuff. Seth, I think it just naturally makes sense for us to start with Gambit, right?
Might as well.
So, strategist, scale of 1 to 10, how shocked were you when you saw that he was a strategist?
I'm gonna go with a 7. I think that I mean, like it makes sense in some ways, like especially when you think of him as more of a support character than necessarily a healing character. But he definitely, and now that we've spent some time with him, he has that potential to kind of carry some healing scenarios in a lot of ways. So I was not expecting it. I was still very much expecting Rogue to kind of fill in that spot, but I'm totally here for it. I think for me it was a nice surprise, if nothing else.
I started to hear a little bit of rumblings right before the reveal that this season was likely going to have 2 strategists, and so that kind of dulled the effect of the reveal. But I'll still
Mm.
put myself at like a 9, because even that was just kind of like leaks and rumors, and you kind of just say, well, I mean, we even said on the show, like Gambit feels like an obvious DPS, and fits that role. And I think we were all just kind of bracing ourselves for it. But I was pretty shocked that they went that route with him. Makes me very interested in what his team up with Rogue is going to be, if there's a strategist team up or something like that. But yeah, I'm very excited that they are doing 2 strategists. I'm not totally positive that Gambit started as a strategist.
You feel like they tacked that on at the end?
I don't think that, not necessarily the end, but I do think that they realized very early on that they had a DPS issue, and probably looked out at this release and thought, okay, the community is already complaining a little bit about the balance of how many champs are in each role. What if we tweaked up his kit and made him into a strategist? So, because he has a lot of offensive firepower and ability, right? And they just gave him some like utility with the cleanse and being able to heal people by shooting through them and stuff like that. So, but in a lot of ways, he just plays like a DPS character.
Yeah, I mean, I see that too. I haven't spent that much time with him, as I think not nearly as much as you have, but yeah, I mean, he's there. He's not hurting for damage in any way you look at it, whether it's supporting damage or whether it's implementing it himself.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk a little bit about his kit. So he's got his cleanse. So basically, he has these like 4 decks at his disposal that he's able to use, and certain abilities use certain amounts of that of those decks. But he has 2 kind of decks he can choose from. He has a heart deck, which is his healing deck, and then he has his spades deck, which is a little bit more offensive. So before we get to that, he's got a dash. He's got like a ground slam that knocks people back and stuff like that. But for his decks, if he chooses the healing deck, he can then cast a spell to either cleanse somebody, so removing all the negative effects that are on them, or he can just throw out like a barrage of cards that bounces between nearby teammates and heals them. So that's his hearts deck. But then he has a spades deck, and he can either cast a spell that does an AoE anti-heal on the people that it hits, or kind of a close range knockback of people, if as sort of a way to create space or anti-dive. So those are his base abilities. He also has his primary fire is like the 3 like the 3 fanned out cards going from him. And then his ultimate, I think his ultimate cleanses as well, cleanses negative effects of the people that it hits, gives you increased movement speed, gives you increased attack speed, gives you increased like an empowered jump ability as well. And then it also has I think it does some like burst healing for Gambit, so he can sustain in the fight as well. Really complicated kit, I thought. What do you think, Seth?
I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it, days later. I didn't spend a lot of time with him this weekend, but in the time that I have, I need to I'm more of a kind of like learn as you do kind of guy. Like it's hard for me to like just sit there and read the screen, even as an English teacher, to sit there and just read it and try to just process all that information, then translate it to gameplay. I kind of like to feel it out a little bit more as we go, and then kind of read as I go, like, oh, it seems like this is happening. Let's check on that, and kind of use that that kind of like player info screen as a reference. But I don't know. This one, he's pretty complex. He's 4 stars. I feel like he's more of a 5-star, but maybe that's just where he's so new. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's a 5-star too. And I think part of the issue is, Seth, I'm going to drop this link to you here as well. I'm just going to put it at the very top of the document so you can see it easy. But this is his character screen. Let me share this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think part of the reason that it's so confusing, Seth, is if you go to the second page of it, the way that they organize this information, to me, just scrambled my brain. So they have the healing hearts and the breaking spades on E and F respectively. And then underneath healing hearts, it's ordered what E does, then what F does. Then under breaking spades, it's labeled what F does and what E does. So and it's the same way across platforms, right? On both on that page, the icons are flipped of what it goes on. And to me, I don't know why, but that was just so confusing. I had to read it like 10 times before it sank in what button does what.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. Like, how do you feel about him? Like, the strength of his character. We've seen a lot of him in games. We've gone up against him a lot.
I mean, I think he's an all-star, at least right now. I'm sure he'll see some inevitable nerfs or something like that in the field. Well, actually, I'm not so sure because they haven't done it to Luna. So my God, why are they going to do it to Gambit this far in? Um, I don't know. Like he's got a lot going for him. I think that everybody right now, kind of like we see it with every character, but I think more so here, you're either going to see really great gambits that are just popping off left and right. A lot of the times, he's the MP of the match that I play. Um, but on the flip side, you also see a lot of bad ones that kind of cost the match in a lot of ways too. Like they're just not. I think it's just kind of wrapping their mind around these keybinds, and like just kind of like how to manage the cooldowns effectively, and like what's the anti-heal, what's the purify, like the purification or whatever. Yeah, that's. I mean, that I know that I'm struggling to do that, so I'm sure that some people who don't read any of this shit are probably like mind fucked trying to figure out what's going on or like what this character's all about.
Well, and he's such a different beast when it comes to just like how Rivals approaches supports generally. I think like he's very mechanic intensive. He's very dependent on being able to hit your shots. A lot of decision making for him. Like there's a lot that you can do during a fight with Gambit, and you really have to manage his cooldowns well, like more so than you do with Adam or with Mantis, where I feel like there's kind of a formula to the way that you're applying your stuff. I don't feel
Mhm.
like Gambit has that same sort of like rotation. It's a lot more kind of flow charty with how he makes his decisions. And
Very situational. Yeah, I can see
yeah,
that.
and it's like, do I spend my resources on using the cleanse, or do I want to anti-heal because we're getting pressured, or the front line's open or something like that? So I don't think we really have another character who in the strategist role who's kind of like that. And so we're probably seeing a lot of DPS players who are picking up Gambit because his kit just looks fun as fuck and it's very DPS coded. But I think we're also just seeing a lot of rival strategists who have never had to play this sort of way with as much awareness as you kind of have to be successful with Gambit.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think we'll start to see people getting better. Also, his ultimate just feels like a guaranteed team fight win because he pops it and you just start running at the other team and there's not a whole lot they can do about it.
Yeah, unless you just totally mismanage or kind of miscalculate that. If you're combining it with any other ult, I think that's a reset for the other team in most situations right now.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about some of the other content that we've got coming in season 5 or that's already here in season 5. The first thing I want to talk about, the new non-combat space that they've set up, the Times Square. Have you checked it out in game, Seth?
A little bit. I haven't like really. I still haven't spent more than like 3 or 4 minutes in there at a time, but I've been in a couple of times just for a brief stay.
I gotta tell you, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at too. Like it's cool. Seems just like I don't know, a place to like send lewd comments to people, or just places for venoms to twerk at each other, or show off scantily clad heroines. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's not my cup of tea really. But
I don't know. And there's like there really isn't anything to discover that I've seen yet. Like nothing to interact with that I've come across. Maybe I'm missing something, and if I am, please let me know. But like, um, And look, I'm not one of those guys who like sits in a public Discord servers like voice chat and just hangs out with anybody who comes by. And now that I'm in community management and have been for the last 5 years, there's a lot of people that are like that. I don't understand it. But if that's your cup of tea, then have at it. What I'm more excited about is the potential of what I think this space could be. And I think we were maybe hinting at a little bit of this sort of stuff earlier in the episode, but I think this could be a really cool space to do, like, to convey community information, right? Like, how cool would it be to have like the season 5.5 trailer reveal happening in game, in this sort of like non-combat space in Times Square? How cool would it be if we could go there and we could like look at the big screens in Times Square and watch the Ignite tournament, and you can like click onto it and make it full screen or something like that. But like creating these sort of like hangout spaces for people to consume and interact with, uh, Rivals content, I think could be a really cool use of this space that isn't as much of like come in here, twerk with somebody and make friends with some rando.
Right. So that's kind of that's exactly what I think too. I think there's a lot of potential for it. It kind of gives me like Fortnite festival vibes or whatever. Isn't
Hmm.
that a thing in Fortnite where you can
Yeah.
just go and kind of hang out? And they have these dedicated lobby spaces, but they do a lot with them. I think as it is right now, there's not a lot there to sell this, but I do think there's a lot of potential. Like right now, you can see ads for Disney Plus shows and content playing on screens. You can kind of see like little Easter eggs, kind of alluding to other characters, either in the Rivals universe or maybe soon to come to the Rivals universe. I think there's a lot of potential for that kind of thing in there. So, I mean, I'm all for it existing. I think that it's got to be carefully managed so that it doesn't become, a problem and ways. And then again, I think that they do need to kind of continue to do more with it and improve and grow the space. Um, and to kind of like in order to use it as a hub and not just like a place to waste time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about the real life ads. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan. Like, I I need more there. Like again, I like the idea of putting Ignite in there, or just kind of like Rivals adjacent content. I think I've heard it mentioned. I don't know how true it is, but I feel like the idea has been thrown out there of like playing Marvel movies or
I thought
shows
about
or
that.
stuff like
Yeah.
that in there. And who knows how copyright licensing and stuff like that goes with that kind of thing. But I mean, that'd be a cool idea, kind of a cool way to kind of onboard people into some of that content, especially younger people. But who's to say? I'm sure it's needlessly complicated in a lot of ways.
Mhm. Yeah, like a Marvel movie night in Times Square could be really cool. But yeah, I don't know, man. Living in LA, especially, I just became like so acutely aware of how often I was being advertised to. Like just driving down the road, you leave your house for 2 minutes and you see 50 advertisements out in LA. And I'm scrolling through TikTok and I'm watching a video and I'm like, oh, this is kind of an interesting video. And then you start to realize, like, oh, it's a TikTok shop ad, or like, and it's funny because I work in marketing, but I still get frustrated by this, and I go into the Times Square thing and I see like, Marvel Unlimited advertising and the Disney Plus advertisement. It's all Marvel adjacent stuff, so it doesn't feel too bad, and it's also next to like some stuff that doesn't exist, like the Gamma Energy drink or whatever. Well, I don't think that actually exists. And so I think that could be
Not yet.
it does not yet. I think that it can be fine how it is, but I don't imagine it's going to stay fine. I imagine they're probably going to sell some space in there. It's Times Square. There's giant billboards, like, you know, big old Chipotle ad, giant ass, Nvidia
It's
ad.
marketing incarnate. It's the spirit of capitalism.
That's
Yeah,
right. And I don't
new
want
Rome.
it. I don't want it. Uh, all right. We've also got an anniversary event that's coming up. Starting on the 27th, there's going to be some exclusive costumes, a legendary Jeff costume. You're going to be able to earn up to 2,500 units through this celebration. That's basically 25 smackaroos for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's like this is like the rivals version of those Trump the tariff checks or whatever, right? Like $25.
You're going to give
My
us
God, that's
$25 after I just spent $6,000 this year on skins for Marvel Rivals. It really is exactly like the tariff check, because you paid the tariffs and now you're going to get a small percentage of them back. Not that we're going to get those, but
or yeah, we're not trying to advertise for the tariffs, but but it's just we're being topical, people.
but no, that's a good point. Here's $25, and I'm like, wow, Rivals is so nice. That's so awesome. And then I go look at my bank account, and I'm like, wow, I've spent so much fucking money on this game this year.
Yeah, more than I ever thought that I would, for sure.
As we get to that event, I'm sure we'll do an episode where we kind of look back on the year of the first year of Marvel Rivals. But it's crazy to think that we've reached this milestone already, right? Like,
It
kind of
feels like
feels
it's
like,
always been with us. It feels like it's just always existed in some way, and it finally now here it is.
I know, and I feel like it used to have a giant monkey with an electric cannon, and I feel like it used to have like this angel character that could res everybody with her ultimate before they changed it.
Man, that's weird.
Yeah, like it's always been here. Anyway, we also have a new mode coming on the 27th, an 18 versus 18 conquest mode on the new garden map, which Marvel Rivals Leaks actually has a video of. It's on the, oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. It's the place that you're seeing on the opening splash screen of the new season. That's going to be where the new map is, on the garden
Okay.
conquest map. Seth, how do you feel about 18 versus 18?
I have no idea how I feel about that. I think that's something you've got to see. Sounds awesome and terrifying in some ways. But I mean, I'm again, as usual, I'm here for it. I'm glad that they're expanding and doing different stuff. They're doing a lot of unexpected stuff, or stuff that we maybe didn't anticipate just a couple of months ago. So I can't wait to see. I don't know that it's going to be my thing, but again, I didn't know that Marvel Zombies, as it is, was going to be my thing until I became a Queen Slayer, along with you over the past week or so.
Hell
So
yeah,
hell yeah,
brother.
hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like the more they kind of reveal about their content plans, the more I feel like they're kind of going for the Fortnite thing, where there's like, we want to give people options of how they play this game, how they interact in it. They're already kind of setting the foundation for these kind of community spaces with like the Times Square stuff, like 18 versus 18 conquest could be a cool kind of part-time mode, but I could also see it being sort of like the big team battle, or like the battlefield style mode where, hey, I just want to go on and mash it up with a bunch of people. I'm really curious how the game is going to run with 18 people casting
I mean, if
abilities.
it can run thousands of zombies running at you, and all those olds constantly popping off, I've got full confidence in it myself. It's got to be wild. It's got to be weird, but it's gonna be something.
Yeah. And then we've got, I thought I put a link in here with all the skins, but we've got the battle pass that just came out. Um, and a bunch of new skins obviously added into the battle pass. It's the Love is a Battlefield trailer. I have no idea where I put that link. I know I put a link to all the skins that were in it, but it is no longer here. Let me see if I can find it. Marvel Rivals, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm not talking. I think just in general, I think this is more kind of the good stuff that season 4 had going for it. It's not really leaning into one particular theme, which I think is a strength. It's got kind of a lot of different vibes going with it. Like there is kind of that romance thing in the air somewhere in there, but again, like it's got a weird Frankenstein's monster Franken Castle or whatever. It's got kind of like a Davy Jones octopus finger Namor going on. It's got just a little bit of several different things going on, and so I think it's pretty cool myself.
Yeah, I'm going through all these now. Oh, let me drop a link to you in the show notes so you can see these as well. You seem to remember them better than I do. but I'm just gonna put it right here. All right. So yeah, we've got. I don't know. I'm with you. I think this is probably one of the better battle passes that we've gotten as far as the skins are concerned. I hate how many just awesome skins Black Widow has, and this battle pass skin
Yeah.
is awesome too. The kind of retro look. I find it interesting that there are some sort of like Halloween-esque ones that have made their way in here, like that didn't make the cutting room floor for a store skin, so made it into the battle pass with like the Punisher skin, and I think the Namor skin feels a little bit like that. I don't know how I feel about the like final tier Wanda skin. It just doesn't feel totally unique to her like default skin, unless I'm missing something.
Which one are you looking at for
The
Wanda?
the Wanda skin, the tier 11.
Oh, I don't know why I stopped clicking. I mean, how do you differentiate for her? Like it's all just red, tight red stuff. But again, I know we've talked about that before, but like why would you buy? Well, I kind of see it's right in the pelvis region. I guess why some people would be excited for this skin in the front. It's very tight. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
look, I mean, it is different. Like it's the bodysuit versus the kind of dress that and cape thing she's got going on in the main skin. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't feel it doesn't feel as unique as some of the other final tier skins we've gotten in previous battle passes. But what's your favorite skin out of the battle pass skins?
I'm kind of torn. I do like this Infinity Ultron. I think he was cool in. He's probably one of the coolest parts of the What If series on Disney Plus. So that one's cool. I also like this. I didn't even realize somehow that this was an Angela skin with like the fuzzy feathers and the bird feet or
Yeah.
whatever. That looks cool. I've been waiting for an Angela skin that I like to come along. I wasn't crazy about the 2099 one that dropped when she first came out. So I think those are my two right now. But Blue Thing is also cool as hell. I'm excited for Blue Thing, and yeah, I think that's really it for me right now. Namor would be cool if I played more Namor, but he's just not really in my repertoire right now.
Yeah. I like the Punisher skin. Obviously, anything that feels Halloween, I'm down for. I do like the Blue Thing skin as well. Obviously, the Widow. Uh, I almost said Widowmaker. The Black Widow skin. I think is really cool. So those are probably my top three. Um, the Atom skin's cool too, but yeah, I I think they did a good job. I think with this battle pass. Although I still don't feel like it has too like strong of a theme. I don't feel like the love is a battlefield thing coming across in these skins necessarily.
Yeah, I think I kind of take that back. What I said, like there's kind of a love element to the battle pass. There's not, but I'm assuming that's going to kind of come along in some of the other passes that come along, or maybe play into the anniversary event a little bit more. Maybe it's just really exclusive to this mode that's coming out, the 18 versus 18, but we'll see.
We got some. I'm just going to go through these last few things really quick, and then we'll get to the balance changes because I know there's a ton of stuff to talk about there. But new accessories for Gambit, Human Torch, Magik, Mantis, Wolverine, Phoenix, Loki, and Star Lord. The college student perks is getting a refresh with 10 new skins. They're promising to continue to invest in PVE, which I think is awesome because I ended up really enjoying the zombies mode the more I got to play it. And Seth, we are now Queen Slayers. Want to give a final word on zombies since I imagine we're probably done with it until there's an update.
Still not sure I really mastered the concepts, but I enjoyed the ride a hell of a lot more than I thought that I would. So I played a lot more of it than I thought that I would. It was nothing like I thought it would be, but I was here for it, and I will be. Shall it return one day?
we were hard carried through that one Nightmare 4
Yeah.
run.
Yeah, I just don't know what I was doing wrong. I really don't. I'm like, by the end and like the last couple rounds, I was like, maybe like my first couple rounds of zombies when I first started, I realized that I had been, instead of purchasing new cards, I'd have been accidentally refreshing over and over and over again, and just like not buying anything. And by the end of these rounds, I was at a Nightmare 4. I was like, have I been doing that again? Because I was tired as hell when I think it was like a Friday night at the end of the week when we were playing, and I was like, "Oh my god, what is happening? Why am I doing so little damage?" I honestly don't know. Don't care. We got it, and that's all that
We
matters.
got
So
it. We
I'm a
got it.
Queen Slayer now.
And we had a blade that popped off for 2.4 billion damage in his
My
run,
god,
which was insane.
he's an American hero.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked it too because I feel like the depth of it kind of unveiled itself as we played more. And, in those early games, you're kind of playing in the early difficulties, you're just playing it and kind of buying cards that sound nice or whatever. And then I think you get to a point where you realize like, oh, I should just kind of be maxing out one of the two colors. And but then by the end of it, I started playing Thor, who I thought sucked at first, but I really enjoyed the build of Thor that I was playing with, where it's not just focusing on a color, but focusing on 3 or 4 individual cards within that color to build your loadout based off of what you're going to be using the most.
Yeah, I think it did a great job of scaling, to where you kind of
Hmm.
start off and it's easy, so you can do whatever the hell you want, and then you kind of like come to understand as you get to buy more cards at a time too. And they have those kind of long buy phases. I think that really helps you to kind of get a grip on that stuff a little easier as you continue to play. Takes a little time, but yeah, the more you play, the more you get there. So again, I would love to see it come back or maybe like change into some other kind of iteration of the same like concept. Give me the Sentinels, give me something else, something in that same kind of atmosphere, some robots to kill, some aliens or whatever, like the Centauri or something like that. I'm here for it. Count me in.
I think they did such a good job with like Ultron Battle Matrix Protocol. They did such a good job with this. Um, I really want to see them kind of commit to a format and really kind of perfect it, because I do feel like there was a lot of meat left on the bones of this zombies horde concept that they can kind of continue to explore. So I'm excited that they're still in on the PvE stuff. Very, very good. All right, let's jump into some balance changes, Seth. I know we're right up on an hour now, but honestly, this patch was the wildest patch I think we've ever seen in Marvel Rivals to date. And I've got this up on screen. I'm sharing it, Seth. We'll start with our vanguards here. Um, Let me just say this about the full scope of the patch notes. Not a single nerf to be found anywhere in these patch notes. Everyone's getting buffed. The power creep is absolutely insane. You've got more ult charge on the field than ever before. So I don't know if being the craziest one we've ever gotten is necessarily like a good thing, in my opinion, yet. I think it's cool to talk about and cool to kind of ingest and figure out what it means. But I am curious what season 5.5 balance is going to look like, because literally nobody in these notes got nerfed. They were just like, let's make everyone who we don't think is strong strong, and keep everyone who we think is strong strong. So I don't know, weird
Yeah, I think
philosophy.
that as we see more competitive play and as we play more competitively, I think we'll get a better sense of it. But yeah, I think it's in a place where right now some of the matches that we've played have been just like balls to the wall. For better or for worse, they're just like constantly there's stuff going on. Those Gambit ults are supercharging everybody. So I don't know. It's I feel like it's been a little bit more frenetic. It's been a little bit. I've been kind of like feeling more energized through the matches that I've played so far. So I'm kind of here for it as well with this too. But will that continue as we go on in the next few weeks? Like, will it start to get old? I don't know. But I've been having more fun with it so far. I think it's kind of been an escalation for me
Mhm.
personally.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm necessarily like concerned about this patch specifically, because I think the game that we've played, I do think it feels a little tighter. I think it feels like fights are a little bit closer. I don't feel like everything is kind of as steamrolly as it once was, but I don't feel like they achieved that because of any sort of like legitimate approach to balance. I think their approach was just, we're going to make everyone strong so that whatever you're doing on the field like feels effective in some kind of a way. I'm overstating that a little bit, obviously, but I'm more concerned about kind of the future patches of like, are we going to continue to see this power creep of characters? You know, because obviously with all these changes, the strongest characters are still going to emerge, right? And are they just going to kind of keep bringing people up to that echelon, or are we going to get to back to a part where they're putting it down? But let's talk about some of these things, Seth. So Vanguards, Angela, Penny, Magneto, Captain America, Groot, and Hulk, and the Thing all getting various changes and buffs. I want to talk about Penny Parker's real quick because I mentioned this a couple weeks ago on the podcast that I thought it would be really cool if one of her kind of specialties in a zombies mode would be anyone standing on her webs receives passive healing like she does. And Nettie's heard me and was like, what if we just did that in the real fucking game? Because that's exactly what she does now. If you're standing on her webs, you get healed as well.
It boggles the mind, between that and the Black Widow stuff. Like, it's a new game in a lot of ways. Yeah, I need to. I cannot keep forgetting. I haven't played again a lot since the new season dropped, but I keep forgetting about that every time I see a penny, and I'm probably missing out on some easy survivability. So I've got to try to keep that in mind personally.
Yeah. And it's not a tremendous amount of healing. Like it's not gonna, but it is enough that it's like gonna sustain you a little bit. Also, probably helps a lot with her ult charge as well if people are taking advantage of it. So I think that's pretty cool. I think the other big one I wanted to talk about here, and then Seth, I'll let you talk about whoever you want to. Captain America got a new ability added to his ultimate ability where not only will people running in his freedom charge stream get additional shielding like they do, but now they also get a 30% boost to ultimate energy charge efficiency while in the ult as well. And so we're getting ultimate accelerators on the field now. Has there been an ability in Rivals before this, this and the Gambit thing that give you accelerated ult charge? I don't think so.
Not, I mean, nothing that pops into mind. Which, of course, they're near 40 characters now, in the game, if not more. I stopped counting, but yeah, there's to have had so little to none before. There's a lot of it going on right now, on a match to match basis, and I've been seeing pretty much every time I play. It seems like there's a cap out there, or a penny, or definitely a Gambit where he's so new and spectacular right now. So yeah, again, I think it's an exciting time to be in the game overall.
Mm-hmm. Anyone on this Vanguard list that jumps out to you?
Biggest for me, I think, is just as a fan myself, is Magneto. As a longtime Mag main now, I've talked for a while about how much I miss that original team up with Scarlet Witch. How you could, how you had the sword projectile, that you could use, and they've kind of brought that back in a way, although it does function a little bit differently. I just love. I feel like he's between breaking up his cooldowns between his shields to where you can shield others and shield yourself separately and not lose that cooldown. That's wild in and of itself, but like jumping into a fight with that supercharged sword that has the delayed impact, or like secondary impact to it too. Like I feel like Mag is a monster right now. Not that he wasn't before anyway, but I mean he's just a force on the battlefield. So I'm not that I was going to stop playing Mag, but when I'm playing competitively, he's probably still going to continue to be my go-to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Bringing back the sword was awesome, even though it's a little different now. But yeah, Mag feels really, really good right now. I'm just going to briefly mention some of these other changes. We don't need to jump too far into them, but Groot now gains unstoppability during when he's within 15 meters of his awakened Ironwood wall. Hulk now gets a reduction to his indestructible guard cooldown if he hits somebody with the gamma burst new effect with the gamma burst, which is a little like clap ability. And then the Thing, they've removed the damage reduction he gets if he leaps to a target, but instead now it applies a 20% vulnerability, not just to the target that he hits, but to anyone within a 5 meter AoE around him will then begin to take 20% more damage, or whatever that math works out to be. So a lot of cool changes there on the Vanguard side. And what I like about these changes, Seth, is that it's not just like increased damage of Stone Haymaker from 80 to 85. Like, they're doing things with these characters to make them feel new and interesting. This
Unique too, like between that's like everybody's kind of getting their own thing. To put it up a little bit there, like yeah, I'm totally. I think I've been more excited this season with all of this new stuff than I have been in a while. Not, the game's only been out for about a year, but I think this is kind of like a big refreshing point in a lot of ways. And I hope that I hope that it brings people back, and I hope that it just kind of like reinforces that love that a lot of people have for the game.
Mm-hmm. Let me just apologize right off if you guys can hear some stuff going on in the background. I'm here by myself tonight. I've got the animals in here with me. My cat is over here climbing God knows what. So it's a little bit of chaos. Let's move on to our duelists. So a little bit more standard, I think, here on the duelist side of things, with some more just kind of math adjustments and stuff like that. Seth, are there any here that really jump out to you? Probably the Squirrel Girl's interesting to you. Have you felt a difference playing with this sort of increased damage buff to her burst acorn?
I mean, a little bit. I still, I either pop off as Squirrel or I'm just doing terribly as Squirrel. So, it really just depends. But I mean, yeah, I could say that I probably felt a little bit of a damage increase to her for sure.
The other one I wanted to talk about was Storm real quick. They gave her a buff, but the only thing that got buffed for her was how she boosts her allies. So damage boost from the increased weather control to allies from 10% to 20%, and then the increased goddess boost, the damage boost to allies from 12% to 15%. I really like Storm's design because she's a very competent DPS, and in the right hands, if you're hitting your shot, she has a fight changing ult. But she also has this sort of like quasi support aspect to her that none of the other duelists really have. And I really appreciate that about her kit. And I like that got some love in this patch. They also made Wolverine way more annoying by reducing his Feral Leap cooldown from 15 seconds to 12. I'll just say that. I feel like we've seen a lot of Wolverines. We've seen
yeah,
and I think that's probably why. Then our strategists, Adam Warlock got a buff. Cloak and Dagger got a little bit more health. Rocket Raccoon got a buff. Loki got a buff. And then for some reason, they just decided, let's make Invisible Woman the greatest character in the game, because they increased her orb projection hit damage from 25 to 30, projectile maximum range from 30 to 35, and projectile speed from 120 to 150 meters per second. Increased force physics length from 30 meters to 35, so you can push or pull people from farther away. And now, if you have your Guardian Shield and it's not out, there's a button that you can call to. I'm going to keep talking. I can't hear you though, Seth, because they pulled my cord out. But now you can call the Guardian Shield in front of yourself as Invisible Woman. So you don't have to do what every Invisible Woman main has had to do, where you find a teammate, put the shield on them, and then walk to it so that you can get that healing. Now you can just put that healing on yourself. Why, Seth? Why did they add so much good to a character that was already so fucking good?
Yeah, I mean, she's not going anywhere in the meta anytime soon now. I think, yeah, nothing but good things for Invis for sure.
I feel like part of this is that there's now a lot more vulnerability and anti-heal in the game with the Thing, with, obviously Blade added anti-heal into the game, but now you have Gambit with anti-heal as well. So I feel like some of the changes to the strategist survivability and healing output is a little bit of kind of maybe a trade-off, like, hey, with anti-heal, we want to increase the healing capacity, but I don't know. And if you would have put it, the only thing that would have been crazier is if we got a fucking 3 bullet point uh, buff list for Luna. That would have been the only thing crazier.
Yeah.
Then we've got some new team ups, some changes to team ups, but the Blade of Khonshu. Moon Knight gets his 5% boost in damage output, and then Blade gains the Eclipse Edge ability through his team up with Moon Knight. Then we'd already talked about the sword, um, with Gambit and Magneto, and then the Sword of Duality. Hawkeye unlocks the Moonlight Slash ability through his team up with Cloak and Dagger, and then they've adjusted and removed some as well. Seth, overall, how do you feel about the changes in this patch so far? We haven't, I mean, obviously, we don't have a lot of time on the game to maybe analyze how it's impacting it, but when you read it, playing it after a couple days, how do you feel?
I mean, overall, I think it's like we've said. I think it's super refreshing. Everything it does feel very new and exciting. I think they're doing a lot to make these things kind of stand out. A lot of these, especially like we've talked about, kind of the anchor team ups before, and how those, like, sure, they have a purpose, but they're not very unique or fulfilling. Like kind of moment to moment in the gameplay, and so I like that we're seeing a lot more of this stuff, whether it be the kind of individual character patches or the team ups themselves. So yeah, 1000% all for it. I like this. I hope that this continues to be the direction in which we go.
This has me really excited for the future of the game because I know I talked about my concerns with like power creep and stuff like that, but I think this is NetEase realizing how not only loud the feedback about the kind of like balance of characters in terms of the number of strategies, number of tanks, number of DPS, um, not just about the loudness of that, which it's been loud in the community, but also them realizing how valid it is. Like it is a valid criticism that your game has this many more DPS than it has of these other roles. And the duelist got some math changes to their in their updates, but the really exciting stuff came in the tank role. And giving people NetEase realizing like, hey guys, we can't fix the character count problem overnight, but we can certainly find new reasons to make people want to come back and play tank. Let's give them new abilities. Let's give them fun ways to interact. Let's make them feel more impactful on the map. So I really like the kind of philosophy that NetEase has with these patches of not just like we're balancing the game, but we're also uniquely addressing the feedback of our community and making the game more engaging in that way. Because at the end of the day, they want it to be fun first and then competitively balanced second. And I think that's clearly been their approach from the start. And I think that's fine. And I think if this is the way that they choose to sort of exercise the free will that they have over that philosophy, I'm here for it. I think this is cool.
Amen, brother.
All right. Then the final thing is ranked is getting placement matches now, Seth. So you're going to play 10 placement matches, and then they will give you your starting rank. So you're no longer with the 7-tier reset or whatever. Welcome change, something we've all been asking for. I'm curious to see how it
I love
feels long term.
this. I love the idea. Like, it immediately just feels better. Even if you lose every match and end up starting back in bronze, I at least love seeing my projected rank being, up in high gold, and then, having the potential to see it grow, maybe see it shrink or whatever. But I mean, it just feels better. Again, it's just kind of dopamine hit at the beginning of the season. It's affirming to know, hey, I could be here if I play my cards right.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, we have covered a lot of ground today, and we want to hear your thoughts on everything that we have talked about. So if you have thoughts on season 5, on Gambit, on the new game modes, the new Times Square, the new balance changes, all that sort of stuff, make sure you leave it in the comments below. We always try to react to some of the comments at the top of every episode. So whatever you're thinking, feel free to drop those in. We're always more likely to respond if you comment on the full episode on Spotify or over on YouTube. But yeah, let us know what you think. Seth, what are you going to be getting up to in game this week?
I'm planning to play a little more competitive, but had a lot of fun with that over the weekend with you. And so I am definitely wanting to do more. I want to see how these placement matches feel, kind of like once we get through them and start the real grind. See if that kind of like fixes some of the growing pains of climbing back through bronze or and silver or so at the start of every season. So that's kind of the first thing on my agenda, especially now that I've got zombies out of the way. I don't think I'll probably be going back and trying to solo climb through Nightmare 3 and 4. Maybe it might be worth a shot before the event goes away, but I feel like I'm in a pretty good place with all that, ready to put it to bed and move on to some of this new and exciting stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, I might try one solo run of Nightmare 3 just to see how it feels. But yeah, I think I'm pretty okay to just move on from that mode as well. I want to play a little bit more Gambit. I feel like he has not had the same fall off as all of our last new characters have. I feel like there's still a lot of insta locking Gambits. Even the episode following the new character release, so that's good to see as well. But I'm enjoying this kit the little bit I've gotten to play with it, so I want to get better with him. But yeah, and then just jumping back into competitive and seeing how these placement matches go. So
Yep, for sure.
all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us. Wherever you're checking us out, we appreciate you and we love you. And make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, all those good things. And again, apologies for missing last week. Seems like the internet stuff worked pretty decently today. I'll keep working to make sure we're able to record each week. But we'll be back next week. And until then, good luck in your games. We love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.